Before there were kingdoms, before there were empires, before the first stone was laid upon the first city, there was a garden. Or so the old stories say. A place where the rivers never ran dry, where the trees carried fruit in every season, where fear had no name and death had no kingdom. A place so beautiful that every civilization on earth seems to remember it, even though no map can find it. The Hebrews called it Eden. The Persians spoke of a perfect garden beyond the mountains. The Greeks dreamed of the Elysian fields. Ancient Mesopotamians wrote of a sacred land where sorrow did not exist. Different names, different languages, yet strangely the same memory. And perhaps the most mysterious question in human history is not whether paradise existed. It is this: if humanity once lived there, how did we leave? And if we left, can we return? Ancient traditions whisper of something long forgotten. Path, a doorway, a hidden passage between the world of ordinary men and the place humanity once called home. They called it the Astral Gate. Not a gate made of wood, not a gate built from stone, but a doorway woven into the fabric of heaven itself. A gate that appears only at appointed times. A gate that was said to lead back to Eden. Tonight, we follow the oldest mystery ever told. The path back to paradise. The story begins long before written history. Imagine a world with no cities, no towers, and no kingdoms. The earth was young. The forests stretched farther than the eye could see. Rivers flowed like silver across the land, and the stars seemed closer than they do today. Ancient texts often describe the first age of humanity as different from our own. Men lived longer. The earth was more abundant. The heavens were nearer. Many ancient peoples believed that the first humans walked with divine beings. They spoke directly with the powers that shaped the world. There was no separation between heaven and earth. The two realms touched. Then something changed. The old stories never fully agree on what happened. Some speak of disobedience. Some tell of forbidden knowledge. Others speak of pride. But every version ends the same way. Paradise was lost. A door closed. And humanity was sent into a harsher world. The story of Eden is often treated as a simple religious tale. But ancient scholars notice something unusual. The garden is never described as being destroyed. It is hidden, guarded, separated from ordinary men. That changes everything. Because if paradise still exists somewhere beyond human sight, then exile does not mean destruction. It means distance. And every distance can, in theory, be crossed. This is where the legends of the Astral Gate begin. Ancient priests from Mesopotamia believed the heavens were not empty. They saw the sky as a vast kingdom filled with roads, doors, and sacred passages. Certain stars and constellations were considered gateways between worlds. The Egyptians believed that the soul traveled through celestial gates after death. The Greeks imagined divine portals that connected the mortal world to the realm of the gods. Even in ancient Persia, stories emerged of hidden entrances leading to a perfect kingdom beyond the mountains. Again and again, the same idea appears. A gate, a journey, a return. Could all of these civilizations have inherited fragments of one much older story? Perhaps, because there is another mystery. Why does every human being seem to carry a longing for a place they have never seen? Why do we speak of paradise as though we remember it? Why do stories of a lost golden age appear in nearly every corner of the earth? It is as if humanity suffers from an ancient homesickness, a memory hidden deep within the soul, the memory of a garden, the memory of a gate, the memory of a home that has been lost. Ancient rabbis once suggested that Eden existed at the meeting place between earth and heaven. Not entirely physical, not entirely spiritual, a place between worlds. If that idea sounds strange, consider how many myths speak of sacred mountains. Mountains where heaven touches earth. Mountains where gods descend. mountains where prophets receive visions. Throughout history, mountains have often been described as doors between realms. The ancient world believed certain places were thinner than others, places where the barrier between worlds became weak. What if the Astral Gate was not a physical structure at all? What if it was a crossing point, a place where two realities briefly touched? This would explain why so many ancient legends describe the gate as appearing only at certain times. The stars had to be right. The heavens had to align. The door had to open. Ancient astronomers spent entire lifetimes studying the skies. They measured the movements of stars with astonishing precision. They built temples aligned with celestial events. Why? Perhaps because they believed the heavens were speaking. Perhaps because they believed certain moments carried extraordinary power. Or perhaps because they were waiting for the gate to open again. One ancient tradition tells of wise men who journeyed east in search of the first garden. They carried no weapons and sought no kingdom. They searched only for a path. Years became decades. Decades became lifetimes. They never found the gate. Yet they never stopped looking, because they believed humanity's greatest treasure had not been destroyed. It had merely been hidden. This idea is strangely powerful. The world teaches us that paradise is impossible, that suffering is normal, that pain and loss are permanent companions. But the old stories whisper something different. They say there was once another way of living, a better kingdom, a forgotten home, and perhaps the human heart continues searching because some part of it remembers. Think about it. Why do people dream of peace? Why do they imagine perfect worlds? Why do they tell stories about lost kingdoms and hidden lands? Perhaps because every generation inherits an ancient memory, a memory older than language itself, the memory of Eden. Throughout history, men have crossed oceans searching for paradise. They have climbed mountains, entered deserts, built temples, studied the stars. Many of the world's greatest journeys were driven by the belief that somewhere beyond the horizon there existed something sacred that had been lost. The Astral Gate became a symbol of that search. Some believed it was hidden in a forgotten valley. Others believed it appeared only in visions. Some said it existed beyond the stars. And some claimed it could only be found within the soul itself. No one agreed on its location. Yet everyone agreed on its purpose. The gate leads home. Perhaps that is why this legend has never died. Empires rise and fall. Languages disappear. Kings are forgotten. But humanity continues searching for the same thing. Path back. A doorway. A return to the garden. And maybe that is the greatest mystery of all. Because if the longing for paradise is merely imagination, then why does it appear in every age? Why does every civilization remember a world that no longer exists? Why do ancient myths separated by thousands of miles tell nearly the same story? Perfect beginning, a great loss, a hidden gate, and a promise that the way home still exists. Perhaps the Astral Gate is only a symbol. Perhaps it is a forgotten memory. Or perhaps somewhere beyond the mountains of ordinary understanding, beyond the stars that fill the night sky, there remains a doorway waiting for the day humanity remembers how to open it. Because if paradise once existed, and if the gate was never destroyed, then one question remains. Was humanity cast out of Eden forever, or are we still walking the long road back?